25 to 30 mile walk that makes no sense. Takes them out of the way, all up to a place called Caesarea Philippi. Up in the northern part of Israel, Chris and I just recently were in Israel, and we visited this place. And there in Caesarea Philippi, he sets the stage for his manifesto of kingdom dominion. That was a good word right there. Thank you very much. He is about ready to loose his manifesto of dominion over the earth. And he takes them on a 28-mile walk out of nowhere to a place called Caesarea Philippi. Listen, Jesus isn't just into nice walking. He is taking them to a place to give them and give the earth a vivid picture of what it means that he builds his ecclesia. He takes them to a place in Caesarea Philippi, and there is 100-foot rock high and 500 feet wide, and in this rock are grottos to the demon gods of Pan, other demonic spirits and demonic gods. It is also the place where the busts of Caesars were. That's why they call it Caesarea Philippi. This is the place that no Jew would go to.
That's right.
It's the dark side. Out of that rock flowed a little stream, and they called it the gates of Hades.
Woo!
He's setting something up.
Yeah.
He brings them to this rock, and he gives them a question. Who do you say that I am? And Peter says, you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. And Jesus gets happy. He explodes. I believe literally he explodes. Oh God, finally I've got somebody with the revelation so I can do something with to bring my dominion into the earth. I've got a man who's got a revelation, not by flesh and blood, that I am the Messiah, the Christ, the ruler of heaven and earth. I am the God of Daniel chapter 7, the one who rules over the boasting horns of the earth. I am the God who has full dominion. Thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God. Jesus goes off and he says, with that revelation, I can now build my ecclesia. He says to him, and I declare to you that you are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my ecclesia. That ecclesia, as Ed Samosa explained in detail, it was the ecclesia was the Greek city-state ruling council. Jesus says he takes that out of the context of the Greek ruling council, and he says, that's their ecclesia, but I'm going to build my ecclesia. I'm going to build my ruling body in the earth. This is awesome. He says, upon this rock, I will build my ecclesia, and the gates of Hades. They're looking at this rock. This is what I believe he was saying. I believe it was a multi-level revelation. He was saying, upon the rock of this revelation that you have, Peter, I am going to build a people who actually believe that Christ can bring dominion to the earth. Yeah. But I also think he was saying, Peter, which sounds like the word rock in Greek, and upon you, Peter, with this revelation, I now call you a piece of the rock. You're just like me. You're a dominion haver. Come on. He is declaring, if you know who Christ is in full dominion, you can know who you are. You are Peter. You're like me. And then I wonder, when he was saying this, if he turned around at that rock with the demon gods and the Caesar rulers of the earth all manifested there, and I wonder if he turned around and said, upon this rock, the massive rock, upon this rock I will build my ecclesia. ecclesia. In other words, this is a sex trafficking place. The orgies and stuff that took place here at that rock was so demonic. But the Lord says, I'm going to take my disciples into the hardest, darkest places. I'm going to take my intercessors where no one else will go. I'm going to take them into the hellholes of the earth. And where two or three agree together, they will literally prevail over the gates of hell. Welcome to the supreme vocation. I'm speaking to intercessors. This is a revelation of moving principalities and powers. If you can move the heavens, God can move the earth. I'm looking for intercessors. Further on in that chapter 18, he says, where two or three agree together in my name, whatever they bind shall be bound, whatever they loose shall be loosed. For wherever two or three are gathered in my name, there am I in the midst of them. I want to say something today. You may seem small, but if you've got two or three in covenantal agreement, getting divine revelation, the keys of the kingdom, when you turn those keys, you're as dangerous as a stadium filled with people praying. You are the dangerous ones in here. You are the ones that shape history through prayer and fasting. That was an introduction. I want to bring you to the ecclesia of Daniel. Daniel and his friends are thrown into the midst of a Babylon pagan culture. Welcome to the world. In the midst of this, even as Ed Somoza was saying, he's building his ecclesia. These were marketplace men. These were men that were living in the context of the open arena of demonic spirits day by day, cultism, highest degrees of magic and sorcery. It's in the context of this that God raises up a group of four guys, and these four guys shift history. They make a declaration and a decision. They will not bow to the gods of this world. They will not. They give themselves to fasting and prayer. They make a decision. They live in Babylon, but Babylon doesn't live in them. This is the deal. Find me two or three in agreement with heaven who have not compromised with the world culture, and they have a colony of heaven on earth who have the authority to literally declare that heaven's into the earth by their agreeing prayers with the keys of revelation. They fast and pray. There in chapter 2, when they interpret the dream of Nebuchadnezzar, they get a revelation on the king's dream, and they literally shift the history of the government of Babylon. This is our job. You are the ecclesia. You are the ruling body of the universe. Come on. This is stunning. When they get the revelation, Daniel, who's probably 16 or 17 years old, with such theology, says you are the God of heaven. You change times and seasons. You raise up kings. You bring them down. You know what's hidden in the secret places. This is a man with revelation and understanding. He has tapped into the revelatory realm, and it's actually through that revelatory realm, dominion is being given to him over the highest Antichrist figure of the universe. That's right. I'm not looking for the Antichrist, but if he comes, there is going to be companies of Daniel who have dominion in the midst of end times darkness. Lord. Now, they are on a divine assignment. Daniel sets his face for 70 years. He possibly does a Daniel fast for 7 years. Wow. Seriously, it's stunning. It said in the first chapter, they gave him just vegetables to eat, and it doesn't say when it stopped. For 70 years, he would open up his windows and look to Jerusalem, and he would pray 3 times a day. You talk about an intercessory stand. You talk about holding on to a promise, even if it takes 70 years. Give us some intercessors like that. You see, accumulated prayer brings in kairos moments when everything fix this. But without the 70 years of faithful prayer, there are no Kairos moments. Stay in your little prayer meeting with your divine revelation and never stop. For 70 years, he opens his window and he looks to Jerusalem and says, God, someday I'm going back there and I'm going to restore the temple. How's that for an intercessory vision? Someone gave me a word once that my DNA is DNA. Divine national assignments. I want to say to you, God is giving intercessors assignments, divine assignments. You can't shake it from yourself. It stays on you day after day. Why? Because revelation demands participation. Your revelation is actually giving you the responsibility to birth that very thing. Listen, if you get revelation, you can't just say, cool, I got revelation. It gives you revelation so you may intercede and bring it into being. And if it takes 70 years, you stay in your line. Come on. God will give dreams, revelation, and give you a divine assignment, and it is your calling to see it through. Daniel prays for 70 years, and then something takes place in chapter 9. Chapter 9 of Daniel. Daniel is now, how many of you think Daniel was a young man in the lion's den? Don't raise your hands. He's 81 years old. Come on! Your old dudes will dream dreams and see visions. Your best years are in your 80s, brothers and sisters. It's time for a Daniel deployment. Don't retire. Go to those unreached people groups and their 5-star hotels, and instead of walking around and enjoying their feasting, why don't you do prayer walks on their islands of the Maldives and intercede like Daniel to shift principalities and powers, to open up the Maldives to the gospel. Come on, it's time for the Daniel deployment. 70 and older, stand up. Look at me in Daniel chapter 9. For 70 years, Daniel has been interceding with that one vision burning in his heart. Someday, I'm going back to Jerusalem. In Daniel 9, we realize, and he says, in the first year of Darius, the son of whatever, by descent of a Mede, who was made king over the realm of the Chaldeans in the first year of his reign, I, Daniel, understood in the books the number of years that according to the word of the Lord to Jeremiah, that must pass before the end of the desolations of Jerusalem, namely 70 years. Then I turned my face to the Lord, seeking him by prayer and pleas for mercy with fasting and sackcloth. He gives this prayer in verse 20, while I was speaking and praying, confessing my sin, the sin to my people Israel, presenting my plea before the Lord my God to the holy hill of my God. While I was speaking, the man, the angel Gabriel, whom I'd seen in a vision at first, came to me in swift light at the time of the evening sacrifice. He made me understand, speaking with me and saying, "Oh, Daniel, I have now come out to give you insight and understanding. And at the beginning of your plea for mercy, a word went out, and I've come to tell you, for you are greatly loved, or you are greatly esteemed." When archangels come to a man and say, "Oh, Daniel, you are highly esteemed," he is talking about an intercessor who knows what time it is and sets his face to fasting and prayer to prevail over all countries and empires. Brothers and sisters, this is the supreme vocation. You don't have to be known by a man or men. You don't need to have a stage. If you know what time it is by divine revelation, set your face in those moments to give birth to it. Angels move toward your life and they tell you, you are highly esteemed in heaven. I want God to say about my life, "Oh, Lou Engle, you are highly esteemed in heaven." I'm in the midst of a fast right now that I believe is the season of my life. I am literally believing that we are at the doorstep of the greatest awakening in the USA of America. The revelation that God has given to us. You see, now listen to me. He gets a revelation that it's time. He doesn't say, cool, I got a prophecy, it's time. No, the Bible says this. He says, if they are a prophet, let them make intercession. The prophetic is to tell you what time it is. Surely the Lord God does nothing unless he first reveals it to his servants and the prophets. Why does he reveal it to his servants and the prophets? Not just to proclaim the word, but actually to call them into intercession, to groan on earth what he is groaning in heaven to manifest on the earth. If he finds somebody like this, they stand in a place of high value. Now he's praying in this situation where Cyrus has been king, has just become king, and the king of Babylon has just been removed, and Cyrus is now the king of the Medes and the Persians, and Darius is actually the ruler or the governor of Babylon. It is in this place that Isaiah had prophesied that Cyrus will come and he will loose a decree to go back and rebuild the temple of the Lord and to finance it. Daniel understands this and he sets himself to pray because he knows that demon powers will seek to keep Cyrus from fulfilling that decree. He's got to shift history with prayer and fasting by removing the demonic obstacles. That's right. Turn with me to Daniel chapter 10. In the 3rd year of Cyrus, king of Persia, a word was revealed to Daniel, who was named Belshazzar, and the word was true, and it was a great conflict, and he understood the word and had understanding of the vision. And in those days, I, Daniel, was mourning for 3 weeks. I ate no delicacies, no meat or wine entered my mouth, nor did I anoint myself at all for full 3 weeks. And on the 24th day of the first month, as I was standing on the bank of the Tigris, I lifted my eyes and looked, behold, a man clothed in linen with a belt. His body was like beryl, his eyes like flaming torches. Oh my gosh, wouldn't you like to have that at the end of a 21-day fast? I'm serious. People moving into fasting, there's dimensions of glory that will open to dimensions of the heavenly realm. That's what fasting is. It makes your life a landing strip for encounter with God. This is why I get excited about fasting, because I know I'm going to get a life-changing dream. I am going to have an encounter with the Lord. Something's going to shift in my family. Something's going to shift in my business. Angels move at the sound of your voice when you set your face to fast and pray. Verse 8, so I was left alone, saw this great vision. I heard the sound of his words. In verse 9, I fell on my face in a deep sleep. A hand touched me, set me trembling on my hand, and he said to me once again, oh Daniel, greatly beloved, come on. Do you see this? He's now 83 years old. And again, archangels that govern the universe are breaking into one man's life. I looked for a man to stand in the gap. If he could just find a man like Daniel who has lived above Babylon's culture 70 years with accumulated prayer, with revelation that the days are coming when the great shift will occur. And when it's time, he sets his face to fast and pray. He has no idea that archangels are breaking into the earth realm to tell him, oh, this is heaven's estimate of you, Daniel. Yeah. Come on, give somebody a shout on that one. Oh, Daniel. What's your name? Who's Daniel? Come on, Daniel. Put your own name in there. That's right. Speak it from the angels. Oh, Lord, you are highly esteemed in heaven. Say it. Oh, you're embarrassed. This is your calling, intercessors, to shift the future of Singapore from fasting and prayer. The angel comes down and looks. And he says, verse 12, he said to me, fear not, Daniel, for from the first day that you set your heart to understand and humble yourself before God, your words have been heard, and I've come because of your words. And the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days, a demonic archangel. But Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, for I was left there with the kings of Persia, and came to make you understand what is to happen to your people in the latter days. For the vision is for the days yet to come. Let me make a comment right here. An archangel appears to him, and he says, "Oh Daniel, you're highly esteemed, for from the first day that you set your face, I have come down to you." Can I dispel something here? Most people, and there's truth to it, say that you don't change God through prayer and fasting, you change yourself and cause your being to be a receptacle of revelation. But in this case, it is not the case. Daniel doesn't need to get his heart prepared. He is already prepared. In other words, the moment he started praying, archangels were moving at his voice. In other words, when you go into fasting and prayer, you inaugurate war in the heavens. When a man who stands before God, clothed in the righteousness of God, he sets his face to pray over Singapore, and you are in the times of a great transition. Daniel was in a time of a great transition. Extended fasting is to arise in times of great transition, to remove principalities and powers so that God can lose his message into the nation. The minute he begins to pray, archangels are moving. Now this demonic prince over the kings of Persia is actually influencing the kings, the natural kings of Persia, to issue forth policies, public policies against the Jews. Daniel is concerned for it, so he sets his face to fast and pray. Immediately, archangels are moving at his word. By the way, Daniel was conclusive on this. He said, from the first day that you set your face, there are times in your life when you get divine revelation that you have to set your face and say, I will not take no for an answer. There's power when you set your face to the one thing that God has given to you for revelation, and you set aside everything else, all side issues, no food, no media. You have set your face to move heaven and earth. God is looking for intercessors who are conclusive. I don't think he set his face to do 21 days of fasting. I think he set his face that I will fast until I get to revelation. Yeah. Billy Graham died. Something happened to me. And I feel like the Lord is saying, set your face, son. It's time for the Jesus movement in America. Set your face and move every obstacle for this thing to break. I'm an intercessor for America. What sphere are you in? I tell you, God gives you an assignment. There are times when you throw off all distractions and you set your face for one thing. That kind of prayer is scary to the devil. And the angel comes down, and there's a battle for 21 days. And then Michael, the prince over Israel, he has a vested interest in this. He is the archangel over Israel. He's concerned about what's going on in Israel. And so he comes to fight with this other angel. So we get a breakthrough for the people of Israel. Folks, I believe right now in America and all over the world, we should be praying for Israel. President Trump just issued a decree that it would be the capital. Jerusalem would be the capital. Folks, this is a phenomenal moment in history. It's 70 years since Israel became a nation. It's 70 years since the latter rain outpourings began, preceded by massive prayer and fasting. I feel we're in the time of Daniel 70, and we need to brass our hearts and loose Romans 11:12. Life for the dead when the Jews come to Christ. archangel comes down. And he says, oh, Daniel, for 21 days I was restrained. But Michael came and helped me. And I broke through it, and now I've come down to deliver it, to tell you the understanding. He said, and I was left alone there with the kings of Persia. This is stunning. I've read commentaries. Left alone is not the best translation. It is more like this: I obtained the ascendancy.
Wow. Wow.
Another commentary said it is more like this: and I remained there victorious as on a field of battle. Do you see it? Daniel's intercession loosed angels that removed the demonic powers that were influencing the kings of Persia. They were removed, and now this angel stands in a place victorious in a field of battle, and he can now influence the kings of Persia.
Amen.
This is epic. It's the ecclesia, the ruling body, the government of the universe. Are you getting this? Three of you, are you getting this?
Yeah.
I want to lift up your vision for the supreme calling of an intercessor. You move angels and demons. You shift the tide and seasons of nations. It goes on. Chapter 10. He gives the revelation. And in the end of chapter 10, verse 21. Verse 20. Then the angel said, do you know why I've come to you? But now I will return to fight against the prince of Persia. And when I go out, behold, the prince of Greece will come. This is a stunning passage. He's saying, you know why I've come to you? He's saying, I've come to you to give revelation concerning the last days. But almost as if when he says that, he actually shifts back and he wants Daniel to continue to engage with him. He is so important to the movement of the plans of God in the universe. Do you know why I've come to you? Immediately he switches. He says, I've got to go back and fight this prince of Persia. You can't just win the battle and then vacate the field. You have to sustain what you gained. This is why we need intercessors rising up who are sustaining the victory that was won by Daniel in a 21-day fast. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes we get off the field, create a vacuum, and demons 7 times worse come into the situation. Give us generals of intercession that don't just sing a momentary breakthrough. Give us dominion in the heavens for the future of singing.
Yeah.
He says this, but I will return against the prince of Persia, and when I go out, behold, the prince of Greece will come. I will tell you what is inscribed in the book of truth. There's none who contends by my side against these except Michael, your prince. And as for me, in the first year of Darius the Mede, I stood up to confirm and strengthen him. Folks, this is an amazing passage. The word confirming to strengthening is the word to create a stronghold.
Wow, that's good. Wow.
In the first year of King Cyrus, Darius, there was a demonic angel keeping Cyrus from his assignment, and Michael was trying to fight through that battle. This is what the passage says. But now Gabriel had to come in and strengthen him, and the 2 angels created a stronghold over Cyrus so he could issue the decree. Did you get that?
Wow.
Our intercessors are loosing angels that create strongholds. The devil isn't the only one that creates strongholds. Angels create strongholds. So in chapter 9, we see that these 2 angels came to battle over Cyrus. And in chapter 10, these 2 angels actually joined together to defeat the prince of Persia and issue in a new day a blessing for the people of Israel. Can I say, I believe we're in Daniel 70. It is time for intercessors worldwide to intercede for Israel. A great shift is taking place. place right now, along with the outpourings of the Holy Spirit. Brothers and sisters, it is our time. The ecclesia arises. I will quickly hit this as quick as I can. I want to give an illustration of our own storyline. In 1993, God gave us revelation that he wanted to end abortion in America. The gates of hell will not prevail against it. If you've had an abortion today, thank God for his mercy and his blood that washes you. But I want to shout to you, and it's hidden in the church. Abortion is the offering of our babies to Molech. It's the shedding of innocent blood that curses whole nations.
Yeah.
You can't turn a nation back to God unless you deal with the altars of Baal.
Wow.
So good.
That's what Ahab set up. An altar to Baal, Molech, in which they offered up the babies, and then they lifted up an Asherah pole, which was state-sanctioned sexual immorality. Those two things demonize a culture in which Jezebel comes to dominate that. But in the midst of it, God raises up his Elijahs who stride onto the scene of history with a word from heaven that is more powerful than Jezebel's dominion. It is day for the West to arise and find prophets who can challenge Jezebel. God spoke to me out of a 40-day fast. 2002, called me to raise up a prayer movement for the ending of abortion. In 2004, we went to Colorado Springs. They gathered 50 young people to fast and pray for 50 days. I want to tell you, there are some demonic powers that won't move until you put an all-out assault on those demonic powers. Sometimes you've got to gather the church kind of like a, what do you call it now? It's a war thing, a concentration of force, where you set everything at that weak spot or that demonic power in the nation. And for 50 days and 50 nights, 50 to 70 young people prayed and fasted day and night, praying for the ending of abortion and a pro-life president in America.
Wow.
A prophet named Bob Jones had spoken that a burning bush will come out of Texas. And if the church prays, he will do more to end abortion than any other president. We knew that George Bush was running for president. I want to tell you, we took up that prophetic word. This is the impetus between your intercessions. You will wilt if you don't have a prophetic vision for them.
That's right.
Without a vision, the people perish. They run unrestrained. Give us these small groups of intercessors, this ecclesia, and let them be infused